Welcome back to the Slide Job Podcast, Episode 3. I am your host, Colton Smith. Here joined by producer Josh Northcutt and co-host Ben Miller. Gentlemen, we are here for a preview of the Atlanta race coming up this weekend, but we had a lot of stuff that went down throughout the week. We have a huge Chase Briscoe penalty, which we'll have to talk about here at the start, which didn't make the rundown, but we will mention that a little bit as well. We have a new manufacturer joining NASCAR, or rejoining NASCAR, if you will. We're going to talk about some ratings. They are up after last week. Ben is going to give his power rankings, and we and Josh will remind you of ours. And then we'll get to our Atlanta preview and our Fast Five picks for the upcoming week. Also recapping what the picks looked like last week. Ben taking the lead, so excited to get to that, and excited to maybe find our way back up there. But first, let's go ahead and start with our pace lap. Which let's go with I think the biggest news of the week is really Dodge requesting to join the Truck Series. Now, it has not made public who the truck team is that would pick them up, if that's even in place yet. And I'm not really quite sure who. ThorSport kind of strikes me as an interesting one. Spire, they're a team looking to get some more support. Do they jump on the bandwagon down there? Front Row also is one that is kind of looking. They're not necessarily on the higher of the totem pole at Ford. Maybe one of those teams trying to jump the line there. Those are interesting. But I have one in the Cup Series. I think when Dodge allegedly makes their eventual return to the Cup Series, that I think I have circled. But I want to know what you guys think about that. And Ben, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think it would be great for Dodge to come back to the sport. In the Truck Series, for example, though, when Ram was involved, they were involved with Brad Keselowski Racing, with Ryan Blaney, I believe Tyler Reddick, and a couple of others that I don't know at the top of my head. But
Chase Briscoe and Austin Cindric were the other two notables.
Those are great examples right there.
All four racing in the Cup Series. One's a champion. One I see being a champ. Two I see being a champion someday. And who knows with Cindric? Great start to the season.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Overall though, I think it would be great to see Dodge back in the Truck Series because I feel like if they do end up making their return, doesn't matter what team they sign to, I can see them having a lot of success for sure.
I like your idea, Colton, of one of those lower Ford teams that kind of get looked over by Penske.
By the manufacturer. Ford gives support. Penske gets the most support. Used to be Stuart Haas. We get the second most. Actually, Front Row has kind of jumped that totem pole in recent years. RFK is probably second and then Front Row. But and then you look at Spire. How many teams you got ahead of them? Hendrick, Trackhouse, RCR. I feel like there's another team somewhere in there. But, those guys are looking to jump. Legacy Motor Club. I know they have a really big commitment with Toyota, but hey, if Dodge is like, hey, you can be our number one guy, our number one team, they may look into that as well.
No, I like that because we've talked about it before. The mindset that we need another powerful team in NASCAR. So if Dodge can take one of these low tier teams, put a bunch of money into them, and be like, no, we're going to try to compete with the big boys right away. Kind of like Trackhouse did when they first appeared.
It's funny you mentioned that, Josh, because I said I had a team circled for when they jumped to the Cup Series.
Yeah.
I think Trackhouse was the perfect one. I think they are being, for lack of a better word, cucked by Chevy right now. I think Rick Hendrick didn't like what Ross Chastain was doing to his boys, and he said, hey, stop giving them all this good stuff. And they legitimately, as a team, have not been the same since that incident. Coincidence? I don't know. But it wouldn't shock me because Hendrick has so much pull in Chevy, and he can be a petty guy sometimes. He really can. And so I really would not be shocked if Trackhouse is tired of it. They want to get out of Hendrick's shadow, and they jump ship to the Dodge, and we have Ross Chastain whipping around the Busch Light Dodge. That would be quite a sight to see.
Please, don't give me the Dodge car sponsored by Dodge. It's a classic look, but we can leave that in the past.
Yeah. There's
Lord,
going to be one of them. Like, they can't not do that. They have to.
It will forever be in my brain. Bill Elliott and Casey Kane driving the Dodge.
Like, yeah.
And there's the Dodge sponsored by Dodge today.
Yeah. So that would be my only thing. But no, I love that idea. And Trackhouse makes plenty of sense to me. You're not wrong with that. Spire, obviously, like you said. Some of those other ones are obviously a little too planted in higher up, but yeah, no, if you give me the option, I'd hope it'd be Trackhouse.
Yeah, I think that is the team I think is most prepared. I know there seems to be some stuff going on behind the scenes there. Hopefully that's nothing too major. But yeah, I really feel like that's a team that is poised to maybe be that fourth horseman with Penske, Gibbs, and Hendrick, as they seem like a very forward-minded team. Obviously, 23XI is never leaving, but I think they're another one that is, on a general conversation level, could also jump into that fourth spot. But is there any other comments we have on Dodge's apparently joining the Truck Series by next season?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Would you think they'd have to, like, they haven't hinted on who they would team with, right, in truck?
They have not yet, no.
Okay, so Spire has trucks, right, and so does Front Row, or does Front
Correct. Row? That's why those were the two teams I brought up.
Okay, because Spire bought Kyle Busch's out, right? Is that
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I had to pick, then I would lean Spire is going to be my rumor or my prediction of who they're going to team with.
That would also be mine. Sorry.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, though, I would lean towards Spire too to sign with Dodge.
The only reason I say that is Front Row has a very long-lasting partnership with Ford. I think, unless like really early days, I believe Front Row has always been a Ford team.
Yeah, they have been.
Okay, yeah, I can't remember a time where they weren't, and they've been around since about the mid 2000s or so. So, yeah, I think that could be a really interesting jump, and I'm excited to see who picks that up. But let's go ahead and move on to our next comment on Chase Briscoe and the 19 team getting penalized 100 points. It's been appealed, but we all know how that typically goes. Not very well. Some notable people that have had this penalty before, I can think of Ryan Preece off the top of my head. It feels like somebody at RFK, Brad Keselowski, I think was the first one to get with it.
And didn't Stewart Haas, didn't they get in trouble for it as well?
Yeah, that was Preece.
Yeah.
There might have been another one. Was Briscoe hit with it before?
I thought it was Gragson.
I thought
Gragson,
it was,
yeah, because he was like
they got hit the same week, right?
Yeah, it was both of them. It was Preece and Gragson both got hit by that. And there's probably been another one that's not coming to mind, but those are some of the notable ones. None of those guys made the playoffs. All of them were driving for lower teams than that of Joe Gibbs Racing. But what are your guys' thoughts on this? Do you still see a world? I know Josh has said before the show that he has to win 2 races now to make the playoffs. Outside of that, do you see a world where Briscoe's able to work his way in?
To be honest with you, I do not. I mean, with this penalty this week, he doesn't have a choice but to go out there and win, and possibly maybe get at least 2 wins though. But yeah, I think the plan is for the next 25 races in the regular season, you got to go out and win.
As you mentioned, Colton, I think it's going to take 2 wins. I don't think 1 win's going to be up. You mentioned before we got on the video or podcast that by the time Byron hits 100, he may finally hit 0. That's a long way to climb back up. Now, that's not talking about the person who's sitting in 16th place. Maybe he's still only 45, 50, 60 points behind. But I can't imagine making up that much ground. I also am curious how much Gibbs is going to want to turn around and put into that car if he just says, okay, screw it. The best stuff is going to go towards other cars as is. I know Briscoe was the big signing, but you know that the man with Gibbs in his last name is going to get the best stuff. And then Christopher Bell is the golden child, as he should be. He's probably the best driver on the team.
Mm-hmm.
So that ordeal. So how much is Gibbs going to be determined to get that car into the playoffs and not concentrate more on the other cars that are already close enough? Because what is also the backtrack, Denny, you know, Denny's going to get his stuff, and maybe there's a little bit of animosity, words, whatever. There's a word that I'm trying to say. Thank you. With how Hamlin's handling his own team. But I still think he wants to eventually try to get Hamlin a championship. Best driver maybe in his team history ever that hasn't won one. So, yeah.
I feel like the beauty of NASCAR is you have those scenarios, but I think when you're driving for Joe Gibbs and you're as talented of a driver as Chase Briscoe, I would put Alex Bowman in this conversation too. Those are two talented drivers. With they had full focus, they are championship contenders, and I think they, even with just the quality of the equipment that they still have, I think they can still compete for a championship and still get those results. Mm-hmm. I think that kind of narrative that the fourth driver is usually lagging behind is kind of just because like some fourth drivers I can think of is like Joe Nemechek. Jamie Mack was great back in the day. There's somebody else that's on there. Casey Mears was one. Like those just aren't the most talented of drivers to have as your fourth and fifth driver. I think with the talent, with the nature of these cars, I think it's a lot easier to have four vehicles in your stables. But is there anything else you guys wanted to bring up about that penalty though?
I don't think so.
Go ahead, Ben. You go first.
Oh, no, I had nothing.
He said he didn't think so.
Yeah. Do we think it's a coincidence that Briscoe, who was at
Stewart, who was the fastest car all weekend?
Oh, he was at Stewart Haas, and Stewart Haas got busted for the exact same thing last year, that he may not have tried to advise something of sorts? Like, do you get what I'm saying?
It is an interesting coincidence. I see a lot of people blaming James Small just because they don't like him. And to be fair, I don't think he's an outstanding crew chief. But there could be some correlation there. We'll never know. I think it's fair to think that is an interesting coincidence. I wouldn't go full-blown saying that, but that is a good point to make about it. But additionally here, we got the ratings. I'll first mention the Xfinity ratings, as the CW drew in 1.8 million viewers for Saturday's NASCAR Xfinity race at Daytona. That is the best race in the series since Spring Talladega 2022 and the most watched Daytona season opener since 2020. CW, great start for them as they are in their first year taking over the Xfinity Series broadcast. So shout out to them. I'm scrolling through Adam Stern's page right now, looking at, he's the one who posts those statistics. I see that Aaron's is back. Aaron's is back on the 34, which is just beautiful to see.
Aaron's dream machine.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite schemes growing up. Don't know why, but I loved it. I'm happy to see that back on track. They've been sponsoring the Talladega race for a while, so it's nice to see them back on it. But then for the big Cup Series race, Fox earned 6.7 million viewers. If you round that up, that's 6.8 for Sunday's rain-delayed Daytona 500. That is up 13% over last year's event that was postponed to a Monday at 5.964 million viewers. The race peaked at about 7.9 or 8 million viewers around 2 p.m. and was the most watched sports event of the weekend in the U.S., competing with that of the NHL All-Star Game and the NBA All-Star Game, which, no shocker, nobody watched the NBA All-Star Game. So any quick comments on the viewership for the Daytona 500 and the Xfinity?
I'm glad to see it. Obviously, the three of us are big NASCAR guys, so anytime you can get new eyes and eyes on the sport, period, it is great to see. I'm interested to see, and I guess look deeper, how the viewership went towards like because you said the peak was when the race was supposed to start around 2 o'clock, right? So what made people turn it off and not watch later on into the
A
night?
6-hour rain delay.
Oh yeah, well that yeah, but I mean, eventually some people come back. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
So what made people turn in at 2 and then decide not to turn in at 6:37, 8 o'clock, whatever it was? But then also, as I say that, I'm like, and you mentioned 6-hour rain delay. That can do it.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll just kind of forget about it. Ben, do you have anything you want to comment on it?
Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot though, but overall though, it's just great to see those ratings go up though. I mean, especially with CW Sports, their first NASCAR race at Daytona. Yeah, I feel like this is a step in the right direction, and overall, it's just great to see. Like they're trying to get more people more engaged with our sport, and hopefully, it's a great step in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that does it for our pace lap here. Let's go ahead and get into the fly the flag segment. A little different. We're not going to ask questions. Josh is going to make a statement, and then we'll say green flag, yellow flag, or red flag. If you're new, the green means good. I think that's a great take. Yellow, let's pump the brakes. Red, let's absolutely pump the brakes and get off the track. So, Josh, take it away.
All right. First one. Dodge will not be the only manufacturer to join NASCAR within the next 5 years. Ben.
I would go green flag on this one for sure.
I'm gonna put out the yellow. I almost put. I think the next 5 years is the key here. I think with the next 5 years, I'm actually going to switch it to a red. The situation is a little more dire than we originally thought. So red flag. Give me about 10 years, and I think Honda will end up joining whenever NASCAR introduces the hybrid engine.
I was going to say, I was first going to ask who could be the other one. Honda, I guess then does make sense. But 5 years ordeal, I'll throw out the red as well. NASCAR is more worried about entertainment than being a sport. I'm going to go first on this one, and I'm going to throw the green flag. We talked about how, and Denny Hamlin talked about how it's almost a pro wrestling type thing. And sometimes it does seem like NASCAR has their hands in a finish where they want to throw a flag so they can get that green, white checkered and get that race back to the line, especially at these super speedways. So I do believe that they care more about the entertainment and the clips of Ryan Preece popping a wheelie and flipping all over the place rather than a driver like Jimmy Johnson finishing in third place.
Yeah, I would go green flag on this one because yeah, I feel like it is just entertainment rather than being a sport. So hopefully they just got to make some changes for sure.
Golden.
Yeah, I'm waving the green flag as well. I got a couple examples just from this weekend. I was looking for a clip of the Riley Herbst save. Could not. I only found one clip, and it was a short that somebody posted and found somewhere else. And I was also looking for a William Byron celebration to use in Monday's podcast, and I had to get just a replay of the last like couple of laps, and then they happened to have it in there. But guess what? If I look up Ryan Preece's wreck, immediately there's a 40-second clip of Ryan Preece's wreck. So I think there is a more like that's what's going to be in the commercials for the next 5 years. That's what you're going to see. And I think this goes all the way back to like 2018 or 20, whatever the package they introduced that was 650 horsepower that made the drivers stay closer to each other, but made it harder for drivers to pass each other. They don't care about it being interesting and people passing. They care about the field looking closer, having the illusion of the race being closer. And that is very apparent at super speedways. It's a little better at the mile and a half now, but still a ways to go.
And last but not least, Colton. Ratings will continue to rise.
I'd say green flag until the switch off. NASCAR fans aren't the most, I won't put it that way, but NASCAR fans seem to struggle when it switches to somewhere else, and we're going to Amazon Prime now. So I think even if everyone knew, I think even if everyone knew how to get to Amazon Prime, it still would go down because not as many people have that. But I think regardless, around that Sonoma or whatever the last race is for Fox, we'll see the ratings start to dip.
Ben.
For myself, I'm going green flag on this one, though. I feel like the ratings are going to get up there for sure.
Me, I'll be hesitant. I'll do the yellow. I think that we need to wait and see. Well, first off, we got another super speedway in Atlanta, so we'll see how that happens. And then we get a road course, which viewership is usually down, if I remember correctly, for road
True.
courses because not a lot of NASCAR fans are big road course people, even though we have 8 of them now. So let's wait and see how fans react to the road course, and then getting back to some intermediate and small track racing, which is the best racing when it's all said and done.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is our fly the flag. We're going to quickly go through our power rankings here. I'll remind you of mine. Josh will remind you of his. We revealed these on our Monday episode, recapping the Daytona 500. Then Ben will give you his. So I'll go ahead and start. Mine was William Byron in first, Austin Cindric in second. Third was Ryan Blaney. And then I went ahead and I want to do a little edit afterwards. I had Chase Briscoe at 4. I think after his points penalty, he is by far not in the top 5. So I knock him out. I move Reddick up to 4, and I have Chase Elliott at that 5 spot, rounding out the top 5. Josh, what was yours?
Yes, I had Larson at 5. He's still a top 5 driver in the world. He'll stay in my top 5. Bell was 4. Talent is there. Had a solid race. Caught up and obviously some wrecks. Reddick finished in second. However, will be third in my power rankings. Talent's there. Talent is there. Money is there. They're going to be contenders, especially if he can continue to succeed at the super speedways and then road courses where he's become very good. Blaney, 2. Not really much needed to explain. He was in the top 10, if not all the race, but most of the race. And then number 1, back-to-back champion. It's got to be Byron. Ben, what about you?
All right, for myself, at number 5, despite the rough week for Chase Briscoe, I do have him listed at number 5. I mean, outside the penalty, though, we've seen a lot of great things from him. I mean, obviously winning the Daytona 500 pole, and he looked good out on the track, led a couple of laps. And number 4, I got Austin Cindric, who had a strong Daytona 500, led 59 laps. He was in contention to win his second Harley J. Earl Trophy. But I feel like with this performance at Daytona, he's coming in with great momentum in Atlanta, where he led a combined 124 laps last year. And number 3, I'm going with Joey Logano, led 43 laps in the 500 before he got crashed out. Though he's another driver I got my eye on heading into Atlanta, where he has 2 wins. And number 2, Ryan Blaney, another Penske driver who had a strong Daytona 500. He was able to recover for an 8th place finish after that wreck. He's another driver to keep an eye on for Atlanta. He's been close there a couple of times. He had a great 2024 season there. And my top driver is our Daytona 500 champion, William Byron. He heads into Atlanta with momentum, obviously. He has 2 wins there. He has a act for these super speedways, though. And, I feel like he's going to be a factor on Sunday.
I do have a question for you, Ben, since we didn't get to hear from you on Monday about it. The news that came out about Kyle Larson and Jeff Gordon saying it's in his head and he is right. He's not doing anything right at super speedways. How do you feel about Jeff Gordon calling out his star driver like that?
What was it, Larson or Byron?
Yeah, Kyle Larson. Basically, Larson said he's not doing anything right at the track, and Gordon confirmed it. He said, no, he's not. He's not performing at all, basically up to Hendrick standards at super speedways.
I mean, to be honest, I don't blame Jeff Gordon because Kyle Larson is, he's arguably the most talented driver in the world. And, and when you look at his stats at Daytona, Talladega, just super speedways in general, though, he's not performed up to those standards, though. He just needs to look more into the data and try to find ways to get better at these super speedways for sure.
All right. Well, there is our power rankings. Agree with you guys on that Larson commentary. But we need to get into our Atlanta preview. The last 2 races, Daniel Suarez won this race last year. And then the next at this track went to Joey Logano, which Ben mentioned. He has 2 wins here. It's a little different of a track than every year. It's kind of been a little bit different. It's kind of slowly transforming back into a mile and a half, which actually makes for some really interesting racing. Looking at the odds here, according to CBS Sports, because I think they got that from FanDuel or something, or something like that. Ryan Blaney is the odds-on favorite. Joey Logano is right up there with him. Kyle Busch actually finds himself in third. Austin Cindric, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, Byron, Daniel Suarez, Christopher Bell. Larson's pretty high. Bubba, Chris Buescher, Chase Briscoe, Ross Chastain, and it goes on down the list. What are some names you heard there that you agree with Vegas, and what are some ones? I know there's one that I see here that I kind of disagree with.
For myself,
oh, I should have didn't meant to direct it.
Yeah, you're
Ben,
good. You're good. You're good. I'm just gonna go ahead and just say, I'm sorry,
just go ahead.
Your thunder, Ben, but it's Ryan Blaney. Ben mentioned he's been fantastic at Atlanta his entire career. Hint, hint on what's going to happen a little bit later on in the show. the dude is unbelievable. An average 7th place finish at this race. All 6 of the races since 2022, he's finished in the top 20. He's phenomenal, and he's got to be a legit contender. They showed speed last week at Daytona, and I don't see it being any different this time around. Case in point, why Cindric and Logano should also be up there. Cindric has won many times, or has a Daytona 500 win under his belt, won a race last year. And then Joey Logano is Joey Logano, as much as two of us dislike him, and then Ben is always positive and neutral towards everybody. He is whatever towards Logano, but the understanding is that just he's going to probably be there, and it wouldn't surprise me if he's there again on Sunday, and we're looking at another 1, 2, 3 Penske type performance that was occurring right in front of our eyes at Daytona.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Josh. I'm keeping my eye on Team Penske this weekend. They proved it last week in Daytona that they are true, legitimate contenders on these super speedway racetracks. Like I mentioned before, Ryan Blaney with a 2nd and a 3rd place finish in both races last year, and you got Austin Cindric, who's always a threat at these super speedways. Like I mentioned before, he led combined 124 laps in both Atlanta races last year, and you can never count out Logano either on these super speedways, though. So I feel like Team Penske, those 3 drivers, they're the ones that I'm watching this weekend.
A team I got my eye on is 23XI or 2311.
Okay.
They only had Tyler Reddick finish in 2nd. And Bubba and Herbst both had rough finishes, but throughout the day, I saw Herbst. Herbst was in the top 5 until that late wreck, and also Bubba Wallace, of course, was around the lead until he got caught up in a wreck. So that's a team that brought some great speed to Daytona, and Bubba and Herbst. I'm not the biggest fan of Herbst on all the other tracks, but I will admit in the Xfinity Series he was a really great super speedway racer. So I think Herbst is a nice addition in that sense. Bubba's obviously great, and I think Reddick's not. He's not he's not like Larson where he's struggling. He's just doesn't tend to have the best of luck. But he had a really great luck at the Daytona 500, and maybe he picks that up over here. But another one I see on the lower end of the spectrum is John Hunter Nemechek. He finished in 4th, 5th place. And he's always been an aggressive but good super speedway racer throughout his career. He has the 4th worst odds in this race. So, long shot, I don't know. But Legacy also brought some great speed. Toyota in general brought some great speed. Jimmy Johnson ended up in 3rd. I think we mentioned that if we didn't. Penn, would you like to have your parade?
Yeah.
But I think maybe sleeping on the Toyota camp a little bit. Eric Jones is up there, but I think he's definitely one to watch out for. He has some good races here, but Penske is definitely the team to beat. But that's the beauty of super speedway racing. It could happen at any moment. Suarez could, channel some inner of last season. Busch is high. I kind of scoffed at it, but who knows? Anybody can win it there. Any closing thoughts on the preview before we get into the Fast Five?
Not I can think of.
I don't think so. No.
All right. Well, I'm excited to see how it plays out. Josh, you wanted the first pick, correct?
Yes, I'll gladly take the first pick on this one.
So since Josh finished, because you had a chance at the first pick, and guess who had the most points? The person with the first pick.
Yeah, I got to change it up this time.
Yeah, you gotta switch something up here. I'll go ahead and throw up the standings on the screen, but I'm just reading it off to you guys. First place after week 1 is Ben. He got 35 points. He had Ryan Blaney winning, which didn't happen, but he had Blaney on his team along with Cindric. That's 7th and 8th. Also, most laps led for Cindric. That's 5 points. Stage win for Blaney. That's 5 more points. And then Stenhouse Jr. also got a top 20, so there is a point there. Just leading a lap also got him a point from Blaney. So LaJoy and Gillen finished outside the top 20, so no points from them. LaJoy very well could have had a top 5, and we'd be another 10 points down. But thankfully, he wrecked there at the end for us, or else it'd be pretty grim. For me, I'm in second place with 25, just 10 points back. Busher, McDowell, 10th and 11th got me a great point boost there. Chase Elliott also finishing in the top 20, leading some laps. I think Busher or McDowell led some as well. Hamlin obviously led some, and Wallace led some. So that kind of helped keep me within distance. Josh, however, has some work to do, but that's the beauty of it, is any week it can happen. 12 points last week, 23 points back. Bowman was his saving grace with some laps led in 6th place. Haley also got him an 8 point in 19th. But Keselowski, why does it say Byron on there? It says Byron, but he finished in 18th. So typo on you didn't have Byron, that's for sure. Whoever finished in 18th, you must have had, or I didn't change it. Colton did a crappy on the graphic. So, but he also had Josh Berry, who finished 37th. So definitely some different positions to go for this week. But I am actually going to, since I have the second, I can pick. I want to actually take the third pick and let Ben have the second overall pick. But Josh, go ahead and take it away. Who is your first pick?
All right. Well, I think I hinted towards beforehand. It's pretty obvious. I'm going to take the guy who's been the best driver at Atlanta over the last 3 years, the last 6 races, and go ahead and give me Ryan Blaney.
What? Really? No way.
As I mentioned, all 6 races in the top 20, 5 of them in the top 10, and a driving rating average of 110.5. Complete dominance at this track, always going to be up there. Probably could have won it last year if it wasn't for that amazing finish between him, Suarez, and Kyle Busch, if I remember correctly.
Kyle Busch.
So, go ahead and give me Blaney, and I'll gladly take that.
All right, for mine, I'm taking Ryan Blaney's Penske teammate, Austin Cindric.
I thought you were going to take Logano. That's why I took the third pick. No!
We're going to force you
I'm
to
sorry,
take
buddy.
him.
Dang it.
Yeah, but overall, though, Austin Cindric, like I mentioned before, a great Daytona 500. He was in contention for his second Harley J. Earl Trophy. He's obviously coming into Atlanta with lots of momentum. I mean, he performed really well at the track last year. Like I mentioned, he led 124 laps combined in both those races. And, I feel like he is going to be a big-time factor on Sunday. So give me Austin Cindric.
All right, well, now I'm spiraling for my next pick.
No, you got to take him. I know you don't want to take him, but you better take him.
I don't know why you would think I wouldn't want to take Bubba Wallace, but I'll happily take one of the better super speedway drivers, a guy that I'm confident that, all right, he's had his mulligan. He didn't necessarily finish the best at Daytona. He's had his mulligan. He's going to be back in the top 10 at a super speedway. Give me Bubba Wallace, and with my next pick, I'm going to go ahead and take Denny Hamlin. I like Toyota speed. I like both of them are just guys who know to get there at the end. And, give me Hamlin and Wallace for my 2 picks. Back to you, Ben.
All right. My next pick, I'm actually going with Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, he was a driver who performed really well at Atlanta last year. He had top 10s in both races, and he was a part of that fantastic finish last year between Suarez and Ryan Blaney, and came close to winning the fall race last September, I believe. And I feel like the 8 car is going to be a factor on Sunday. So give me Kyle Busch.
All right, I'm going to go ahead here and take 2 Chevys. The first one is going to be Ross Chastain. Average finish here of 12. His led 92 laps. Finished second here at 1 point. Really talented driver. Hoping they can find some speed and just trust the talent of Ross Chastain. And then my next pick, because I just want to stab Colton in the side a little bit, I'm going to take Chase Elliott. I'm going to take Chase Elliott.
Enjoy.
So, no other reason other than Colton can't have him and I want him. So.
All right. Who's next?
Next?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, so I'm going with our Daytona 500 champ, William Byron. I mean, he's obviously going into Atlanta with great momentum with that win last week, and he performs well on the Atlanta track. Excuse me, and I feel like he's going to be a factor. So give me William Byron.
I guess I'll just go ahead and take Joey Logano. I really don't want to because I feel like he's just going to wreck if I pick him.
Well,
Never
last time
mind.
you said, I'm gonna say last time you said that, Colton.
Yeah. I've changed my mind, and I am actually going to take my first Chevy, and it's going to be Alex Bowman. I like when I saw he's kind of been one of the more under the radar super speedway guys. A guy I kind of trust to keep it clean. Yeah, give me Alex Bowman, and then with my next pick, I am going to go ahead and go with Tyler Reddick. I like what I've seen from him. It's been a point of emphasis for him the past year or so to get better at super speedways, and I think we're seeing the benefits of that here recently. So give me the 45 car, and then back to you, Ben.
All right. Let's see. Looking down this list, I know this is kind of a long shot here, but despite the penalty this week, I feel like that's going to spark up Chase Briscoe a little bit, and I feel like that team is going to regroup. That's not going to slow him down, and I feel like he's going to show some speed in Atlanta. So give me the 19 of Chase Briscoe.
I don't hate that at all, Ben. I was honestly debating that on this little 4-5 wraparound spot because it is a situation, as we've all mentioned, he's got to go for a win. So you know he is going to be going out there and just floor to the pedal. They're going to maybe come up with some weird strategies to make sure he's there towards the end, whether it's pitting or some sort of like that. I absolutely love that pick, Ben.
Yeah.
For my last two, I am going to take a little bit of a weird one here. He's pretty talented at Atlanta. He has 2 top 10 finishes. However, in the car that he's now driving, Corey LaJoie drove 2 top 5 finishes. Go ahead and give me Justin Haley.
All right.
I love the talent that Haley has. There's a reason why
Indiana boy.
There's a reason why Hendricks has held on to him, I guess is the proper way to say it.
He hasn't held on to him.
No, but I thought they still have his contract somehow, right?
They do, but that's a new thing for this year. Hendrick hasn't had his RFK. RFK had their contract up until this year.
Okay. Well, that being said, though, I think Justin Haley is very, very talented, and I'll take a chance on Justin Haley. And then my last pick, I'm just going to go off talent alone. He's in my top 5 for a reason. I'm going to take a chance and give me Kyle Larson.
All right.
I know it's a super speedway, but maybe the little motivation of your boss calling you out as well get you in some kind of mood. And
best driver in the Cup Series motivated.
Yeah. So I'll take a chance on Kyle Larson.
Yeah, I actually like that a lot, Josh. Like, you got to hear from your boss every once in a while what you need to improve on, but not just your boss. You're talking about one of the greatest of all time, Jeff Gordon. So I feel like that's going to motivate him.
Ben?
All right. Let's see here. I know this is going to be a long shot here, but I'm actually going with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Feel like
he's either going to finish well or he's going to finish in last.
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep it away from Logano.
Yeah, God no, please.
But yeah, overall though, Stenhouse, another great super speedway racer. Yeah, we'll see what he can do this weekend in Atlanta.
All right, with my last pick, I think my strategy a lot is just guys with these super speedways. These guys I think will finish the race. I think will at least put themselves in a position to get up there in the end. And I made a mistake in picking Tyler Reddick, I will say. Looking back, there's another guy I should have picked up. But I want to go ahead and get Michael McDowell here, the more consistent super speedway racer. Give me that 71 car. Ended up with a 11th place finish last week. I should have taken Christopher Buescher. So I'm going to go ahead and make him my winner pick for this week. I probably should do Logano because he'll end up winning it, but like I said, he'll either win it or wreck it. So give me Britt or Busher. I get nothing if he doesn't win, but I do get 30 points if he ends up finding a way.
All right. For myself, I'm actually going with Austin Cindric this weekend. I feel like he's going to continue that momentum in Atlanta. He's, like I mentioned before, he's been great there the last two races in 2024, and I feel like he's going to be up front. And give me Austin Cindric.
I want to say Ryan Blaney, but I'm not going to. I'm actually going to take the guy who teams with Daniel Suarez, as Suarez won last year, and give me Ross Chastain. I think he finds a way. The watermelon man finds a way into victory lane, and we get some watermelon smash there at victory lane.
Hell yeah. I can't wait. Josh, I hope you know that if Austin Cindric wins, we are so cooked.
Yeah.
We are cooked
There
beyond repair.
was a small part of me that was like, maybe I'll just pick Austin Cindric.
That's a 55-point hole. That we just, there's no way we can make it up throughout the season, but like in a weekend, there's no way we can really patch that up unless like all of my 5 finish in the top 5 or something crazy like that. But
yeah, well, Ben will only get to pick one driver next weekend.
Yeah, we'll have to even it somehow,
and he'll still get the winner.
Yeah, no doubt. But there is our Fast Five. Just to recap, Josh took Blaney, Chastain, Elliott, Haley. I almost said LaJoy, Larson, and then his winner as Chastain. I took Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman, Tyler Reddick, Michael McDowell, and then Chris Buescher as my winner. And then Ben took Cindric, Kyle Busch, William Byron, Chase Briscoe, Ricky Stenhouse to round out his, and Cindric to win the race. So actually, if you get Chastain winning, that also is an incredible bonus. So that may be the strategy there, and getting some extra points. But
I mean, like I said, Suarez did it last year. Chastain's the better driver of the two. So if he can get his car up there, I can absolutely see him winning it. It's just he's got to be able to get his car up there.
Yeah.
For sure.
And he's got to keep it clean. I mean, he's in that category of Logano's and Stenhouses where you could easily see the field as a bug flies in my face. It's on me. Holy crap. Goodbye, Ladybug. Anyways, is there any other closing remarks, wild takes, predictions y'all want to bring up before we wrap up the show?
I just can't wait till Daniel Suarez repeats as champion and we all look at each other like we're idiots not following the path of the returning champion winning a race.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember Suarez ever winning a championship, but maybe in
my bad. You know what? Oh my God, I'm half asleep. I'm thinking of my nap right now.
All right. Well, let's get you to your nap. Unless Ben, do you have anything to say?
I mean, not really. Just looking forward to a great race this weekend in Atlanta, and hopefully
cold race.
Say again.
It's gonna be a cold race.
Oh yeah,
cold. It'll be interesting to see how that affects the cars and how they run.
But no, right? Please God, no.
I hope not. But now you spoke it into existence, Josh.
Yeah, I said the word.
Well, you know what I'll do? I'll cut it out so that they don't. Nah, the gods still hear you, but I'll still cut it out anyways. Anyways, thank you all for listening. Be sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button for more Slide Job Podcast. We'll be back here as always Saturdays at noon. We also do one Tuesdays at about that same noon time as well. So just to recap the race. So be sure to tune into both of those. Working on some projects for the channel as well. I haven't made as much progress this week, but hopefully next week I'll get back to it. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at LFC__99. Josh is at JNorth1989 and Ben at Ben Miller PXP. So thank you all for coming on, and we'll see you all next week after what is sure to be an exciting Atlanta race. Peace.